Well, hey, Facebook and beyond. We are here. I am Tiiu Napp, and
I am Dr.
this
Michael
fine,
Gross. That's me.
I,
That's
I was going
she.
to say, this fine gentleman is Dr. Michael Gross.
And this beautiful lady is, whoops, Tiiu Napp. Here's to you. That's my Ed McMahon thing. We're having fun today. And
Yeah,
thank you so much. And I beat her to it. I want to talk a little bit about her beautiful book called Healing the Holes in Your Soul. What a beautiful book. What an inspiring book. What a book that it's a must read, must be in your library. And it's the kind of book that you'll read and you don't want to give it away because it's a workbook and you're going to answer a lot of questions in there. And what's beautiful about this workbook is you might refer to it. And when you do, you're going to see how much you've grown and changed. So my suggestion is go for it.
okay. And I have the privilege of holding this, which is the spiritual primer, and it's written by this gentleman right next to me. Hey, I got my fingers right, Michael. I got
Wow.
I got the fingers right. And I will never, ever, ever let this one go. All right. Because I will share just a little bit. Okay. I have all these, like, of course, now the pages that, okay, I have in here sticky notes. All right. And I have written in the book. Okay. So no one else is going to read my personal stuff. Okay. But
All right.
I was looking at this earlier today and I realized that, man, you're absolutely right. How we've grown in the 2 years that I've been working with you, absolutely phenomenal. And if you want to learn more about that, you guys will just have to keep following us at 7 o'clock on Sundays because I'm going to put my book down real quick. But Michael is the author of the Spiritual Primer. And, one of the things when I first met him, I knew I was going to stay working with him. I didn't know how I was going to do anything yet, but I just knew there's a connection that we felt the first time we met. And would you like to share that, Michael?
Absolutely. And what we learned was we were fraternal twins. Thank God we were fraternal. Well, my voice would sound a lot different right now. And it's a wonderful time. And you know our story. She kicked me out of the womb first because she said she wanted an older brother, but really she wanted me to check what life was really about. Remember that cereal? Mikey likes it, so they would eat the cereal. Well, that's a case like that. But what they say, I had to get even. And she did see a vision of our mother, and she said she was gorgeous and beautiful. And I said, "You're absolutely right. I look just like her." So that's the way that we get even with each other. But I want to thank all of you for being on this evening, and it's so great. And I know Tiiu is itching to make an introduction. So here's Michael.
You're such a character.
Thank
Okay,
you.
okay. You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you
we
very much.
want to go ahead and thank you all for showing up on Sundays at 7 o'clock. It is a family day, so we try to keep everything to within about a half an hour because Michael always has a wonderful message. And why not listen to a wonderful message as you're preparing for your next Monday, your beginning of your work week for a lot of you. So we appreciate that you take the time to either join us on Sunday night or watch the recording. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. Our topic today is your direction in life, part 2. We showed, we spoke about it last Sunday,
Hmm.
and this is going to be a series. I don't know. Michael's got the inside skinny on how many of these parts we're going to have, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce you. Okay. So Dr. Michael Gross is an author, professional keynote speaker, transformational coach, and an entrepreneur. For more than 3 decades, he's been on a spiritual path as an intuitive, a healer, a spiritual counselor, and an incredible teacher. Through the guidance of spirit, Michael has assisted others in their personal quest for self empowerment, helping them to create the lives that they have long sought and to bring forth their intuitive abilities. Michael currently teaches classes in spirituality, self empowerment, Reiki, and other modalities. And he's got some amazing stuff coming down the pipeline. So be definitely paying attention to what he's doing on his website, because we're going to talk about that a little bit before we go. But onward, I've gotten off the script, and this is the only thing that we script, and I still get off it. But in concert with God, the true source, he has also achieved great success and miraculous healings. He remains humble, knowing that the work that he does all comes from God, the true source. Michael lives in Lakewood, Washington, and has just launched his nonprofit, and I would like Michael to introduce the nonprofit to all of you.
Thank you. The International Institute of Self-Empowerment. It's a 501c3. And when Spirit told me to do this, as many of you know, I did it. And I don't know what the reason is, but I take a shortcut. I don't argue. I just say, okay, you win. And then I was coaching Tiiu and learned about her story about abuse and being taken advantage of. And I realized that's the first. So the International Institute of Self-Empowerment, or as we affectionately call it, TISI, has 12 different protocols or 12 different legs to it, so to speak, or divisions. And the first is a division is abused women, children, and men. And the director of that department for overseeing abused women and children and empowering them, teaching about self-worth, self-love, self-esteem, is Tiiu Napp. And I'm so honored for her to be part of the organization. So I thought I'd share that with you because she's an amazing woman.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Therefore, so I want to thank all of you for joining us this Sunday evening. I hope where you are that it's nice and comfortable and warm. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're starting to go into fall, we're starting to go into summer. And your direction in life is so important, so I broke it down into phases. And so the next phase, let's say, is from 18 roughly to about 30. And that's an important phase because when you graduate high school or you took your GED or whatever it is, your belief system was formed by your family, friends, relatives, even by religious organizations, by experiences. And now you're going to college or you're learning a trade, whatever works. And now you're hitting the reality of life. And so if you're going to college, you're partying, have a good time. And if you're learning a trade, you're being very, very serious. But either way, when you graduate college, let's assume you're just going for a 4 degree or maybe a 6-year degree, and you're becoming in the trades, now your life begins to change because you have to take responsibility. No more free rides. You may have incurred some debt, for education, or maybe not. But whatever it may be, now you got to live up to whatever you've learned. So I'd like to first talk about in the trades. In the trades, they've taught you a lot of different things. However, they didn't teach you the shortcuts or little ways to figure out things to make it work better. And you spend the next 4 to 6 years learning that and getting tutored or mentored. Now, let's suppose you graduated college, and we'll assume you got a bachelor's or a master's or whatever. And now you're learning about life. So now you got to pay your bills. And of course, you don't want to leave the nest at first because, hey, you get fed, free food, roof over your head, you're paying minimal amount of money, and everything's great. And then there's a point where you want to spread your wings, so to speak. And now you begin to socialize. So part of your socialization that you're doing is perhaps going to bars or parties or meeting different people. And then you're finding out what life is real about. And life is all about an experience. Life is all about the wins and losses. But when you look at the wins and losses, they're all wins, because the reason I say that is because the losses aren't really a loss, it's something you learn. And anything you learn is with you forever. That's very empowering. And you realize your belief system is changing a little bit because now what you thought was theory isn't necessarily reality. And as you're working, you now have to report to a 9 to 5, 10 to 5, 7 to 5, whatever your job shift is. And you're realizing you have to take responsibility. And in your socialization, you're meeting other people and you're beginning to observe. So at first, many souls, not all of them, love to party and have fun. And then a day of reckoning happens, and you realize you got to look at life a lot differently. So that is the second phase. And really, what is life? It's all about taking responsibility. So at first, now you're flush with money, even though you got your bills and you're partying and having a good time. And little by little, you realize as you look around you and see what's happening, people are changing. Your parents are getting older, your grandparents are getting older. And many of the truths you learned in the early days, up to the age of, let's say, 18, have changed. Now, some of them still are steadfast, but many of them have really changed. And that's what life teaches us, to be in the flow of life. Change is good. A lot of people are afraid of change. And the reason they're afraid of change is because they're a fear of the unknown. But that's where the challenge and the excitement comes, the unknown. In other words, it gives you the choice of being creative and stop and think of your life, of all the things you're able to do and what you've created. You created a joy, happiness, sadness, anxiety, hate, and so on and so forth. And along the way, between the age of 18 and 30, you begin to have relationships. You will socialize, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever they may be. And it's like you're testing the waters and you're finding out what relationships you like and don't like, what you like in a person you don't. You're learning about the opposite person you're having a relationship with and things that you like or don't like. And that's all part of the learning curve. And this learning curve, and I said 18 to 30, but really goes to age 36. And then around the age of 35 or 6, everybody has an epiphany. And the epiphany is you take a look at your life and say, is this worth it? What am I doing? Where am I going? What's my future? And do I really like what I like? And perhaps some of you have already settled down with your beloved, and some of you have had children, and you realize your life has changed. Because I would tell you, once you have children, your life really changes 100%. You no longer have a private life with another person. You now have a life that includes one or two or three or four children, whatever it is. And those of you who don't want children to decide, you've got some cat or a dog, and that consumes your life as well because you're pouring your life and love out to the animals, which is nothing wrong. But your direction in life is you begin to reflect around the age of 35. It's also around the age of 35 that you wake up spiritually. Now, some people talk about spiritually, they're a good, whatever their religiosity is, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about true spirituality. So the difference between religiosity and spirituality, major difference. There are a lot, but one of the differences is somebody else's rules and regulations in religiosity, and you told you accept it, and that's all there is to it. While spirituality is your own experiences, which are very empowering. So therefore, you're not persuaded to believe a certain way or called blasphemous or whatever, because you experience it. And once you experience it, nobody can take away from you. But what really I find is interesting through the years, when I may have shared, gee, I talked to my guardian angel, my archangel, and they look like this. Yeah, well, you're just making up. It's in your head, blah, 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 blah. And they make fun of you. And some of us back off or feel like, gee, I got to second guess it. But what you look at the New Testament, the Old Testament, have to take it on faith. The waters parted. Jesus walked on water. All these things. Moses parted the waters, as I said. And all these things went on. But you got to take it by faith. And if you say anything negative about it, or even if you doubt it, which is reasonable, well, then you're just ostracized. But if you talk about meeting your guardian angel or angel, have a conversation, they call you dumb, stupid, you made it up. Isn't that an oxymoron? One thing is true and one thing isn't. Now, I'm not negating a lot of things in the Old Testament and New Testament are in fact. A lot of it has proven out to be facts. But I'm just pointing out the difference between the two. Yet, if we look at spirituality, it's based on what was learned many years ago, thousands of years ago, before we even had religion. It was your own experiences, and that's what they taught. There was something called the ancient mystery schools, where they taught spirituality. But what they taught it is so you experience it. Once you experience, you own it. Whereas religiosity is someone else's rules, regulations, and you're expected to believe in it or have faith in it or accept it. Now, I'm not knocking religiosity because a lot of religiosity is based on spirituality. You know, the Ten Commandments, just look at those. A lot of it is based upon spirituality and the rules of it. But I want to get back to your direction in life. So, all these things, if you learn from your religions, whatever they may be, and from your life experiences, it becomes a little conflict. And then the conflict is, well, which is right, which is correct? You know, and how can you argue with somebody who had an experience and it was so real? I mean, how can you argue with them? You can't because you didn't have it. Does it make you wrong? And they, wrong, or vice versa? Think about that. They'll say you're wrong and you made it up, or you can say they're wrong and they made it up, whatever the situation may occur. But this is a point where many of us have choices, and that's to pursue spirituality. Or maybe you'll do it a little bit later. I was at a conference and I was talking to an investment counselor, and he was, I think, 50, 60 years old, very successful, and he's becoming more spiritual all the time. So there are several times within our lifetime and our direction in life when we become spiritual. And I'm not knocking those who are not spiritual. I feel sad for those who have not listened and have the experiences I've had, Tiiu have, and others that I'm honored and privileged to coach, because they can never be taken away from you. But the confusion in life is there's a little bit of unhappiness around the age of 36. You have a job, maybe it's well paying, and maybe you have a family or you have a spouse or whatever, but you don't feel fulfilled. You know there's something missing. Even though the paycheck may be good, even though you may or may not have children and you're doing things with your spouse or significant other, but something is missing, but you don't know what it is. And then you'd be confused in your direction in life. And if you stop for a minute, think about this, your direction in life, you become confused because it's not fulfilling. Why does this happen? It's the soul urge. Oh, what is my soul urge? Good point. Your soul urge is saying you pre-planned your life. Okay. You're going to do this and this and this and this and this. Someone's karmic debt. Someone's just experience. That's all it is. And I look at even karma just an experience, although some people are frightened by it, and maybe they should be because of what they did in the past life. However, it's just an experience, and it's there for you to understand it and move forward. It's not a punishment. And that's really, really great. Yes.
I need to ask a question. When you recognize that you have a soul urge and you're restless, that there's something missing in your life, that can happen even beyond the age of the 30s,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because I mean, if you're living in um, a perpetual motion where you're going to work, you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing as a responsible adult and parent, and you keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and then somewhere along the line, there's a major shift in life, whether it's somebody births out or you divorce or whatever, and then you find that you're sitting there wondering, well, what is my purpose in life? What is missing? So that can actually happen a lot later in your life as well, right?
Yes. The key points around 35, 36. There's another one I'm going to address later in 45 that's a little different, 45 and 50. There's one around 60, and there's one around 70, 72. These are different points for you to look at your life. But that's a very good question, so thank you for bringing that out. But getting back to what we're doing between 18 and 36, the most important thing for us is to evaluate, if you're a little younger and watching this, exactly what did I choose? Why am I learning? And why am I questioning? And that's perfect. So what I'm learning, well, you're learning tools of a trade or your occupation. Essentially, you're learning what works and what doesn't work and what's making you joyous and not joyous or unhappy. That's the first thing. The next thing you're feeling, you want to feel fulfilled. And you may be bored doing the same thing over and over again. It takes a certain kind of person to work on an assembly line to do the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, I would get bored, but I admire those people that are able to do it because that's phenomenal, as I say. It's really, really great. And they've learned the trade, but they become a master of the trade. But there are then others like myself who learn something and then move on to learn something else, something else, something else. The most important throughout our lives, in our second phase of our life, and our second direction of our life, is to be in the flow. No tunnel vision. Just look at all the wonderful, beautiful opportunities and ask for true source inner guidance. What's the perfect one for me? What really works for me? And that can drive you nuts because if you don't get an answer. So what happens is just say that 3 or 4 times before you go to sleep. Either you'll have a dream, you'll hear a thought or a message, or something will happen. You go, yep, that's it. You just do that. And it's really, really great. So in my early days when I went to college, I worked in shoe stores. And I don't know, but it worked out well. And then as the time went by, I worked for a manufacturing company, two different ones. And one of them was Brown Shoe Company. They made Freeman men's shoes, Buster Brown's, Life Stride, Naturalizer, all these kinds of shoes. And so I was in charge of kind of manufacturing and shipping and warehousing. And I wanted to go on in sales. Well, after a while, I got a little frustrated with the company, so I worked for U.S. Shoe Corporation. And U.S. Shoe Corporation, in the interim, well, let me say, I left Brown Shoe Company and I became a buyer for Town and Country Shoes. That was the name of a company, women's shoes, but they had leased departments. And so I bought shoes for 40 leased departments. And in those days, the shoes were $300-400, which, today we have Versace and everything that are a couple thousand. But if you look at the difference in the economy and the monies, they would have sold for the same thing. Then I went to work for U.S. Shoe Corporation again and worked with them. And that worked out really well. I worked for them, then went for another company and so on. But each time I changed, it was a boost upward. I don't know why I changed. I made more money. Things worked out better and so on and so forth. And my wife said to me, look, you're traveling so much. You're not seeing the children grow up. And she put a lot of pressure on me. And at that time, I worked for another shoe company. And then I worked for a company called Totes, that umbrellas and rain boots and snow boots. And with all the pressure, I was sales manager of the Northeast in Canada. And then, she said, you're missing out on the children. I went into business for myself. And after that, had several businesses. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because, and she was right, I'm glad I got to see my children grow up. But each phase of my life, I learned something new. So I sit down today, and some of you may or may not know that, but I was a college professor of economics, business communications, and marketing, City University here in Seattle, Washington. And they asked me to go into online at that time to teach the Asians and so on and so forth. And at that point, I finally did other things. But it was a wonderful journey. The only reason I'm telling you this is not to impress you, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But indirectly, I was led from one thing to another thing to another thing. So the skills you have today, and you all have skills. I don't care if you ever worked. You may have been a mother or father taking care of children. You have unique skills. And we have to honor our mothers because we just had Mother's Day, but they have to have unique skills to cope with their children, let alone their spouses and their family and relatives. And if we understand that, we make these directions in life, because we have to find out what works for us. So you are the sum total of your lives up to, we'll say, at age 36. And all those things you've learned, you're beginning to apply. And that's so important. But this is part of the journey of life, learning something new, being flexible. I really feel sorry for those who work for, let's say some kind of plant and they do the same thing over and over and over and over again. But maybe they're able to space out and do it automatically and they don't get bored. But there are some of us like me who say, no, I love challenges. I love doing different things. And there's some of us that want security. And I look out back on my life and I realize, and so are you, look back on your life of everything you've learned. My intention is never, never, ever to retire because the stats will show you that the average bear that retires after 3 years, they were birthed out of their body from becoming, I don't know, sedentary or whatever is going along. But there is something new in life, and that's what propels me. And if you look at your direction in life, whatever propelled you and made you do between the age of birth and age 36, you will find when you get to a certain age around your 60s, and I'll address that later, you will find out that, yeah, you're drawing on all that knowledge. But right now, it's a point of, because of the chaos we're having on this planet and the inflation we're having, it is time to turn lemons into sugar or honey if you will. Yes, turn those lemons into honey or sugar.
Lemonade.
Well, take a look at this. Not, yeah, I guess it could be lemonade. But I want you to look at your life, whatever age you are and whomever you are looking at around you and listening to this podcast. Think about everything you've learned and all the knowledge. It's priceless. Whether you learned it the hard way or the easy way, you cannot put a value on it. I suppose you could put a value of $1 trillion, but something is very important. Knowledge can only be experienced, no theory. Knowledge can always empower you. Knowledge is something that is never can be taken from you. Knowledge helps you to prepare your life to do whatever you so desire. Because with this knowledge, you begin to understand how it fits into your life, how it makes you happy, and how you can accomplish great things. Never shortchange yourself because whatever you've gained in your life, this knowledge made you who you are. And you know what? There's no failures in life. You're all a success in everything you have done because you learned something. That's what's so powerful. You have learned what worked and didn't work. And we need to remember that. I see we're over the 27-minute mark, and I know that I should start zipping up, so to speak. But I want all of you to know that the most important thing is you chose life, and you chose the experiences of life. And those experiences in life is your epitaph, what people will talk about, and what you have created. So with that in mind, I know Tiiu is getting a little antsy. So go ahead, Tiiu. Please share.
Okay. Just going to adjust the mic here a sec. I don't want feedback. I want to thank you, Michael, for the powerful message. And can you still hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Michael does a call in every Tuesday night, and it starts at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And I'm going to go ahead and give the numbers. I'm also going to put everything in the contact information so that you guys will have it. So make sure that you jot down the numbers, etc. But the Tuesday night call in, phenomenal. You can ask Michael any kind of questions you want regarding spirituality, the universe, your burning desires in life. Yeah, okay. There's going to be other people on the call, so make sure you don't get too personal, right, Michael?
Right.
Okay, that number is 202-926-1059 with an access code. Michael, what's your access code?
125-446-pound.
Okay, one more time. At the end of his call in, he always does a 10-minute can't talk. He does a call. He does a recorded call. I'll get it right. And I'm going to make sure I give you that recording number too. But one more time for the Tuesday night call in, it's 202 926 1059. And the access code, Michael?
125-446 pound.
He practices this. It's so
I'm
cool.
getting it down.
I'm sure you're in front of the mirror doing this all the time. Okay. The recordings, and Michael, would you like to share a little bit more about the recordings before I give the number?
Yes, I call it the playback. And it starts from number 3. Don't ask me why I started number 3 to 251 or 2, something like that. Usually 10 minutes long, sometimes 12. There's 1 or 2 is a little longer, but they're audio. And with the beautiful part about if you're driving the car, stuck in traffic, or maybe you're just doing some domestic duties or whatever, just listen to the messages. They're very inspiring, they're very empowering, and they're very motivational. And if you want to watch it on YouTube, which will be out shortly, I'll get into that later. It's going to be as exciting as well. But just listen to those motivational little vignettes, as I call them, that is going to inspire you and help you learn and grow. You know, my motto in life is that, I'm always learning something new. I could go to a lecture and 4 hours, 7 hours, not learn anything new. And all of a sudden, 7 3/4 hours go by. In that last 15 minutes, I learned something new, which made it worth it in my life because it empowered me. So I encourage you, all of you, to listen to it. Thank you, Tiiu.
Okay. And the recordings can be accessed at just dialing in. It's a free conference line. It's 434 300 4170. And the access code, Michael?
Is 125-446 pound.
Okay, I'm going to give that number one more time. It's 434 300 4170, and the access code
125-446 pound.
He's shaking his computer, and I'm not going to do that because mine is precariously balanced. Okay. So, on that note, we also have Michael also does a second Saturday of every month event. Gosh, my thinker is going well. It is Mercury retrograde, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody about what happens on the second Saturday of every month, and then I'll make sure I give the number as well.
This is very dear to my heart. And the second Saturday of every month from 9:55 a.m. to approximately 11:01 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, what I do is call as many people as possible. And then we become a conduit for the true source's unconditional love as it spreads through our body and envelops Mother Earth, the animal, mineral, vegetable kingdom, every soul and everything that exists. And Mother Earth is also a living, breathing entity. And so it's important for us to spread that love, that feeling of love. And I can't tell you how many people tell me when they're on, after they're done, what a marvelous experiences they've had, so empowering and so loving. So I encourage all of you because we have to make a difference. You are the difference and you are the solution. And it's time we get around to doing it now. It's just a little over an hour, once a month. And I encourage you all to find time because my goal is to get 1% of the population, is to get them to reconnect with love and the true source. Or if you wish, God, the true source. Same difference. And once we do that, the other 99% or most of them will follow. And it's so important at this time because we're heading towards a precipice where we can go into the dark or into the light. It's not a threat. I believe we'll win. We will go into the light. However, we can't sit on our duffs and expect it to happen. We have to be a part of it. So thank you for letting me carry on in my soapbox and talking about this, but it's very dear to my heart.
Okay, and the number on that is at 9:55 a.m. second Saturday of every month, Pacific Standard Time. And the number for that is 202-926-1059. Same number as the Tuesday night call in. And the access code, Michael?
125-446 pound. So please join us. It's so important.
Perfect. Okay, Michael, one more thing. Shall we tell them a little bit more about your nonprofit, or are we good?
I believe we're good. We're going to have some more things. We'll be sharing our website probably in a couple of weeks and our logo. So I want to encourage all of you. It is a nonprofit. And Tiiu and I worked very hard. My board of directors have worked hard. And, neither of us have taken a penny. We're doing it out of love and putting a lot of energy into it. Therefore, if you see this and you want to contact me to make a donation, we would love it. And if you see this and just tell others about it, we're happy, whatever you so desire to do and be. So thank you. With that, we are about to close.
One final comment.
Yeah.
If you want to learn more about Dr. Michael Gross, his website is live. We're still tweaking a couple things, but it's drmichaelgross.net. Okay, it's just DRMICHAELGROSS.net. So definitely go check it out. Okay.
And it's small case. And if you want to get a hold of me or you want to email me, although I recommend you calling and leaving a message, my email is all one word, no period, drmichaelgross7@gmail.com. drmichaelgross7@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone. So here we go. Last time we want to talk about our books, our wonderful books. We're really proud of it. A lot of hard work. And we suggest think about purchasing one and read it. It's not that we need the money. What we need to do is to open your heart to realize how you can help others that are abused and find your spiritual path to reconnect with God, the true source. So thank you, everyone.
Start here.
Thank you. Everyone have a great week. Bless you. And namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
You are unlimited, right, Michael?
You are unlimited.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. We love you.